Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a quick overview of a couple of baby carriers that are very great for breastfeeding and breastfeeding on the go, whether you're at home and you have a second child who you need to breastfeed your newborn while you're watching your toddler, or you're just out running errands. These carriers are really more ideal for breastfeeding in. So let's jump into a couple of factors you're going to want to take into account when you're picking out a carrier. Okay, so before we dive into the different carriers that I think are best for nursing and breastfeeding, I first want to kind of go over the different types of carriers, because if you're new to baby wearing, it is a little overwhelming to see all these different kinds of carriers hanging in the store and having literally no idea what you want. So this is just a quick rundown of the different types. So there's a standard buckle carrier that would just buckle in the back above your shoulders or by your waist. Then there's a wrap, which is typically just one long piece of fabric, which you wrap you and your baby up in every single time you wear it. And then there's a ring sling, which again is like a long piece of fabric, but it's typically not as stretchy as a wrap. And then it has rings instead of buckles that go at your shoulders. So then you kind of set it up once and then you take it on and off and then sort of tighten it and loosen it with your baby. I don't always love this type of carrier personally. I feel like it doesn't always stay feeling as secure as I would personally like, but there are tons of people who love their carriers, like their ring slings, like the Wild Bird, and I've owned them in the past, but that's just like a little drawback in my opinion. And then there's the Mai Tai, which is essentially, it's very similar to a buckle carrier, except that it ties more like a wrap. So it's a little bit of a hybrid in that way. And then there's also what are more of like my preferred style they're kind of like wrap carrier hybrids, where they are more wrap style, but they have buckles, whether they buckle like at your waist or at your shoulders. And it gives you kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. So that is just a quick breakdown of the 4 types of carriers. Okay, so when you're picking your carrier that you're planning to breastfeed in, there's a couple different factors, in my opinion, that you want to think about. So first of all, you want to look at the weight requirements. Are you just planning to wear your newborn and then you'll stop using the carrier for this purpose? Or do you want to use a carrier that's going to carry them from newborn to toddlerhood? So I think picking a carrier that has a longer lifespan is the better option, but that's not everyone's preferred option. So it's just something to think about. There's also your height to take into consideration and the size of your baby and where you plan to wear them. So I have a very long torso in comparison to my legs. So I always preferred wearing my carrier at my waist, which meant that I preferred something a little more stretchier so I could just like pull it down to help my baby nurse instead of having to like unbuckle it and shift it lower, or instead of already being wearing it at my hips so baby was already like at breast height. That's just something to think about. You might want to go try on a few carriers to decide what you want to get. And then consider your use for it. So when I first bought my very first carrier, I bought the Boppy Comfy Fit. It's kind of that like wrap style hybrid that I was talking about, where it has a buckle, but it's very stretchy. I bought that primarily for indoor use around my home. And then as my son got older, I bought the Lil Baby All Seasons carrier, which that's what I used like for outside and hiking and going on vacation and things like that, because it offered a bit more support. And as he was getting heavier, I found that I needed that. And then you can also consider the price. Carriers range in huge prices from around like $30 to hundreds of dollars. And it just depends how much you're wanting to spend on that. You can also find a lot of used carriers. There's a lot of like children's boutiques, like resale boutiques near me that have gently used carriers. So you can consider that. You should also consider the style of carrier you want. I think some are a little better looking than others, a little more streamlined or a little more bohemian versus kind of rugged looking. And then you also want to think about the safety standards. So you want to make sure the carrier you choose is certified hip healthy by the International Hip Dysplasia Institute. And then you also want to consider the level of support that you need, whether it's like you need to take more weight off your hips or your shoulders. You want to consider that with what you're picking. And then comfort, consider the materials that it's made of. The carriers I used were not made of organic cotton materials, but if I were to have another baby, I would purchase one that is made of like organic cotton and softer materials. And then as far as fabric goes, if it's something you want to use outside, consider whether it's going to be breathable, waterproof, padded. and the climate that you're in. I found that when we had the Boppy Comfy Fit, I found that when we took that carrier to Hawaii, it was just too hot for me and my son. So we used the Little Baby All Seasons instead. And that's a mesh carrier, so it was much cooler for him. And then there's also the idea of privacy. So some of these carriers provide a bit more privacy, especially for breastfeeding, than others. I will try to note that as I'm going over a couple of them. They're all going to be linked in the blog post where it's like all sorted out for you. But this video is just going to go over a couple of the ones that I personally think are best. And then there's also the final factor, in my opinion, is kind of durability. You want to buy one that's made of quality materials that's going to last like many babies, because if you have your baby in this carrier for like several hours a day for months and months and months, it can get kind of worn down or stretched out and stuff. So just kind of consider that. Not that it should be like a huge deciding factor, but it is something I think to keep on your mind. And then also another thing to keep on your mind is the ease of cleaning. If you can just throw it in the washing machine and air dry it, that's perfect. Some of them are not as easy to clean. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so the first two wraps I want to talk about are from Solly Baby. They have the wrap carrier and the carrier. The wrap is made for babies from 8 pounds to 25 pounds, and it's a typical wrap style. It's just one very long, stretchy piece of fabric. It's made from Tencel modal, which is a very, very soft fabric that's very breathable, and it's great for like newborn baby skin. This one is only good up to 25 pounds, which for a baby could really depend on their age, but could be anywhere from like 4 to 7 months, give or take. And then the carrier is a more classic ring sling style. It has a ring in the back, and they have videos on their website that show you how to put them on and get comfortable in them. But this carrier is designed for babies from 15 to 45 pounds. So that has a little bit more longevity. I kind of wish that these two could there could just be one for both, but I understand why there's not. As your baby grows, you need more support in different places. But anyway, this one is made from organic cotton, so it's still very soft, but maybe not quite as soft as the modal. Still a great option. And I think that personally, both of these are a really, really, really great choice. And they also come in so many beautiful, just stunning prints. They have a checkered print that's up for pre-order right now. That is just, if I had another baby or was pregnant, I would 100% be buying this. I think it's gorgeous. All right, so next I want to talk about the Boba baby carriers. There is a couple of different styles from Boba. The one that's like the most popular is the Carrier Classic. It's made from 100% cotton, and it's machine washable, which is really nice. It's a typical carrier style, but it fits almost like a Mai Tai kind of situation, just the way that it looks. And so it has a built-in support system to help distribute your baby's weight easily, which is really nice. Boba is also incredibly size inclusive because you can get free waistband and chest extenders. So it's great for like all body types and sizes because, you know, baby wearing is for everyone. Okay. And it's also certified hip healthy by the International Hip Dysplasia Institute, which is really important. These carriers also typically come with a breastfeeding buckle. I think almost all of the Boba carriers do. So it's kind of just up to preference of what you like in them. They are a little bit more expensive. Like they're kind of around the $150 range, but most of them, you have to double check all of the weight ranges on them just to make sure on the listing that you're actually purchasing. But in general, they are very breastfeeding friendly. They have a special strap on the side that you can unhook to wiggle your baby down to nipple height. And then there's also the wrap carrier, which it's lower price because it's a wrap style. It's around $40, and people really love it. You can use it up to 35 pounds. I never used that one specifically, but it's made of cotton and spandex, so very stretchy, very soft, great option. All right, so next up is a really popular carrier from Ergobaby. It's the Heirloom carrier. It's extremely lightweight. This one is only 1.45 pounds, which is kind of a big selling point because some of these carriers can get really heavy, plus the weight of your baby can be a lot on your body, especially if you're freshly postpartum. This one is made from an ultra lightweight fabric that's called Forminate, and it's made for comfort and flexibility. This one is machine washable, which is great. You can also carry your baby in 3 modes with this one. So front carry inward facing, where your baby's facing you, front carry outward facing, where they're facing out, and then back carry. This is great as your baby gets older. You can use it for longer when these different carrying modes It is Osteotech certified, which is great if you care about that kind of thing. This style is 20% off on the Ergobaby website as of right now. So I'm kind of thinking they might be phasing it out. So it may or may not be in the guide on the website, even though it'll still be talked about in this video. There's also the Ergo Omni 360, which has been awarded the best baby carrier in the past. And this one can be used from week 1 to month 48. So this is like definitely an investment carrier, but it is going to last, like go the distance. And it does provide extra lumbar support, has detachable storage pouch. If you care about that thing, it's Osteotech certified. It's machine washable. It has 4 carry modes, including hip carry, which is great for when you have like an older toddler, especially if you're still breastfeeding. Very handy. This one is a little bit more of an investment though. I'm not sure the exact price. So I think it's around $150-ish. But also Ergobaby makes great carriers. So that's definitely a good choice. Okay, so another carrier I want to tell you about is Tula is the brand. And Tula makes really nice baby carriers. If I had to compare them to a car, I would say that they're like the Subaru of baby carriers. Like they are really going to go the distance, but they don't have a ton of bells and whistles, and they feel very like rugged but comfortable. I hope that makes sense. If you're a Subaru driver, let me know what you think. But the Tula, I would recommend the free to grow Tula because it goes the distance in terms of like weight and how much you can use it and all that stuff. They have a bunch of different carriers though. There's like the Explore, Free to Grow, Tula Light, toddler carriers, preschool carriers, their signature woven ones, ring slings. Like they definitely have a lot of options, but I would definitely say the Free to Grow is the one to go with. It's padded and adjustable. One thing I really loved about the Tula is like how padded the waistband was. I felt like it really took the weight off of like my hips, and it was just able to, the carrier held a lot of the weight of the baby, if that makes sense. The one thing I personally did not like about the Tula was that the fabric of it felt really thin, like where the baby was, and I didn't always feel the most supported in it. I do think it's a really great carrier though, but in my opinion, I liked the Little Baby All Seasons one a little bit better. But I think that Tula uses really, really great materials in their carriers, and they do have a lot of great options. So I would definitely check out the Free to Grow if you care about the materials, and it's great temperature regulating. So if you're going to be using your carrier outside and inside, it's great for both because it's very soft. So, and you can use it from 7 pounds to 45 pounds, which is fabulous. So I do think that is a good option. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 2 more carriers that I personally really liked because this video is getting kind of long, and my blog post covers like a ton more information about each of these carriers and their brands. But this one is actually the Little Baby, I'm probably saying it wrong, All Seasons carrier, but I like this one because it was mesh, and every part that touches you is like very padded. So like the shoulder straps, the back straps, the hip straps, like it was very, very comfortable to carry my son through Disneyland with it, through adventures and hikes in Hawaii, around Seattle where we used to live and everything. So I love that one, and I thought it was very easy to put on myself and very easy to adjust. I was able to like tighten the straps and the straps really easily and loosen them to get it on and off. So I really liked that one. And then the other one is the Boppy Comfy Fit, and this one, it kind of combines like a buckle carrier and a wrap style carrier in one. You basically buckle it at your waist, and then you put your baby on your chest, and you throw the straps over your chest, and then you just bring them down and tie them. And I always tie them under my baby's bum to give a little extra support. But this is a carrier that I would specifically use for short periods of time. So kind of around my house, like I gave my sons tons of carrier naps in them. And then also just quick trips around like the grocery store, around Target or something like that. I also found this one fit great inside of a maternity coat. So it's not a very bulky carrier at all. So I would put my kids in it, and then I would put my maternity coat on, which instead of having them in my belly, they were just on my chest, and I could just zip them up and we could just go off and on adventures or whatever. So those are the couple of carriers that I really recommend for breastfeeding and nursing on the go, especially because it really helps to be able to be hands-free with your baby and you keep them close to you. And I just personally loved that experience with my kids, and especially being able to nurse them in the carrier. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any specific questions down in the comments. Definitely check the blog post. I try to keep it updated also with discount codes and stuff because a lot of these brands offer good deals and different prices everywhere. So just kind of keep your eye out. And if you can try on carriers, I definitely recommend doing that if you can. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe, and I will see you again soon. Bye.